And finally, lesson planning. Woohoo! Probably the planning portion that you are the most familiar with. You've been using our MHC. I'm just gonna bring this down a little. You've been using our MHC lesson plan document. It is basically the same document with a couple of tweaks with this new curriculum, but I think you have a pretty good handle of lesson planning. Just a quick review. Why do a lesson plan? It's to ensure you have a plan. We don't want to be winging it. This is too important of a career. These kids are too important to be winging and wasting time, right? So you have to have a plan. Sure, you have a plan. Make sure that you actually fulfill objectives. You know, we can do a lot of cool things in school that are fun and the kids enjoy them, but if there's no real learning and no real purpose to them, then they're a waste of time, and then we're not doing our job correctly. Keeps you organized, makes you think through all of the things like materials. I mean, you've all had teachers who, you know, they go to do something and they're like, oh, I need 27 pencils. Oh, where did those pencils go? And then what happens? Chaos, right? So it keeps you organized. It helps you anticipate any issues. So if you go, these two students don't seem to be getting along so great right now, I'm going to just make sure that they don't go in a group together, because then my classroom management will go all haywire. So it helps you anticipate those issues that make your class run smoothly. If you don't plan and those two kids end up in a group, and they end up, you know, causing chaos, then you have to deal with that. And then that's just, that's not good. Helps with classroom management. Okay, again, you can be anticipating those things. It helps you consider the child, children, or group. So if you're like, oh, yeah, I really want to read this book, but wait, I have some struggling readers in my class that are just, this is going to be way beyond them. Okay, what am I going to actually do to support that student? So it gives you that time and that brain space to be thinking about all of the different children that you have in the class, but not in the context of the craziness of the class. Okay, it helps you consider variety in the lesson. You know, when we get into it and we get in front of a class, and sometimes it's just like, oh, we just end up doing the same thing over and over and over again. But when you plan in the quietness after school, you actually go, oh, you know what? I could put in a cooperative learning strategy. I could actually take them outside. Maybe I should do some individual work. I've been doing a lot of group work lately, and some of those kids who just need some individual time are getting overloaded. Okay. Helps you ponder material, setup, time, and space. Again, you've got all your materials that you need. You're not wasting time, and you're just able to flow from one activity to another, which ultimately you want to do because it lessens your classroom management issues. It makes you consider assessment, because you go, oh, I really should be thinking about my assessment first before I plan my learning opportunities, because then that will make the learning opportunities in the assessment beautifully coincide. Okay, and it's your job. It's your job to plan. You know, it's a profession, so you would expect a professional to show up prepared and having thought through what they need to do their job. So it is your job, and that is why we do lesson plans. Okay, so to begin lesson planning, again, backwards design. What are your objectives and your assessment first? Oftentimes we start with, what are we going to do? What are we going to do in the classroom? And then what happens is the assessment and the actual objectives, we sort of shove things, and they're not authentic. The kids know it, your practicum supervisor knows it, your mentor teacher knows it, and so really think about your objectives and your assessment first, and then work your learning opportunities back in there. Try to picture your class, and I know you've had the amazing opportunity that you know your practicum class already, so you can maybe picture them. So, you know, can they do group work, or is group work, unless you set it up beautifully, is it just gonna crumble? Are you trying to introduce a really heavy concept on a Friday afternoon, right? Friday afternoon, their little heads are full, right? So those are the kinds of things. Picture your class, picture what you're planning. Think about differentiation. We're going to dive into differentiation quite a bit this semester, but think about all the different levels that you have and how you can support them without driving yourself crazy, spending 17 hours every day planning and making, 27 different things. Think about differentiation when you create the learning opportunity is often the way that it works versus trying to fit a learning opportunity that you want to do into your student body. Okay, and think about activities. What are you going to do? What are the actual learning activities that you want to do, and how can you make sure that you cover all the curriculum as well as have a variety in your classroom? Okay, let's actually go to, I'm just going to go, I think I have the lesson plan template. Okay, so this should not be, this should be familiar. This should not be a surprise. Basically, the only thing that has changed because of the new curriculum is instead of having the past curriculum, you will now have for me, the skills and procedures. So what I did is in grade 4, I just put S&P, skills and procedures, and I just numbered number 2, right? And then I just numbered the bullets under the skills and procedures. And I would actually print a copy, if you can, of your grade curriculum and then just number these. It will save your life when you're doing your year, unit, and lesson planning, because you'll be able to find those. Everything else is very similar. You'll notice the boxes are the same: hook, time, learning opportunity, how do I check that students, right? So this is very much the same. I have put this particular ELA exemplar under lesson 1. So if you want to have a good go with it, you are welcome to do that. The only thing I'm going to draw your attention to is this little ELA pillars, right? We talked about these pillars. What I want you to do is, once you have written out how will I know students have achieved the learning outcomes, I want you to find your verbs. If you have no verbs, you must rewrite your outcomes. Use Bloom's verbs. Use Bloom's verbs. If you don't have a Bloom's verb in this section, it's not, you actually cannot assess it, which is ultimately what you want to use this section for. Is you want, so students will show information in an organized way orally to a partner and write on a whiteboard. Can you actually picture what they're doing? They're showing their information in organized ways orally, so they're talking to their partner, they're showing it in an organized manner, and then they're writing on the whiteboard. Can I actually assess that? Yes. Can I actually assess students will rephrase their learning on their day 7 checklist with a partner of whom clarification and questions can be asked? So they're rephrasing their learning on their day 7 checklist. I go and assess them. I look at their day 7 checklist. Have they rephrased it? I can actually assess that. I can actually figure out, have they actually fulfilled these outcomes? Yes. That's how I do it. What I want you to do is I want you to highlight your verbs with whatever pillar you believe that particular achievement of learning outcome is going to actually fulfill. So students will show is comprehension. They will show that they understand in an organized way. Orally is oral language. Okay. Create a 2 stars and a wish list is writing. So they're actually going to show their writing skills. And rephrase is their vocab, because they have to have different vocabulary. So I want you to just color code, just use the color code that's here. All you have to do is color code. You don't have to explain, you just have to, boom, color code it in there. Everything else in the lesson plan is absolutely similar to what you've done in past years with this. Okay, let's go on here. So what specific ELA concepts need to be considered in every lesson? The pillars of literacy, right? The pillars of literacy equal the pillars of ELA lessons. So you're starting to see these 9 over and over and over again. These are your organizing ideas from your new curriculum. So these things need to be in almost every lesson. They need to be across your year plan, across your unit plan, across your lesson plan. Okay, I like this image of, because we talked a little bit in class about comprehension needs to be at the top, and I kind of like this image. Here it is, reading comprehension at the top, supported by all these things phonemic awareness, vocab, oral language, reading comprehension strategies, fluency, phonics, right? So the yellow here are the print related skills, and the blue are the oral language related skills, with, again, reading comprehension at the top. I also, for writing, it's the same thing. Written expression. What ultimately we want kids when they're writing to be able to express their ideas. And all of these things that we do, all of those pillars support written expression and support reading comprehension. Okay, so you have so many decisions to make when you are creating lesson plans. So, are they going to read out loud or silently? Are they going to individual, small group, or full class work? Who decides small groups? Are you going to show a video or are you going to images? Is it going to be teacher-centered or student-centered? Are you going to integrate with other subject areas? Are they going to go on the carpet or the table? Which cooperative learning strategy will be best? How will I handle my materials and take back in materials? How will I record my observations during a busy class? So many decisions. However, this is the fun of teaching. You get to make those decisions and see what happens, right? Some of your decisions will be amazing, right? Your class will love it. Everyone will be like, woo, that was an amazing learning situation. Others will be like, eh. What do you do with those? You scrap them, you move on, right? These decisions, I will hopefully by the end of 3.03, you'll be like, okay, in this situation, I think I should do a group thing. Or I should do more teacher-centered teaching here, and I'm going to do some more student-centered learning in a different time. So these are the amazing decisions and the professional decisions that you as a teacher will make, and scary yet super fun. Super fun. That's why you're here, to be that teacher. Awesome. Hope that helped you just put a little bit of lesson plan in place, and take care, everybody.